So thank you very much, Ali. What I really want to do, and it's really great to be here in India. I've been in India several times in lots of different cities, and I'm always very enthusiastic to come back here. It's such a vibrant place, so it's great to be here again. And really what I want to go through is just an update on where we are from the certification. It's been mentioned a couple of times today in various different presentations, and I think that really highlights just how important certification is. And one of the key things that come out of this is the confidence and reliability that you have from that. And the other point that I wanted to actually make was, we've seen a lot of issues where people have just gone in, built a sensor and deployed it, and then suddenly they're finding that they're now installing this in places they'd never expected it to go because of the rapid take-up. People are deploying these different devices everywhere, and they're finding they're having to go back and rework the device. So what we've tried to make sure is that we get all the devices certified. As part of that program, we test every feature and every functionality, and we work with all the different areas to make sure that the whole protocol of the LoRaWAN is covered by that. So what we're really trying to do is test it now, reduce that cost later so that you can have the confidence that when you actually ship your device out, it will work and it will work successfully. And the other side of this is, if you're deploying a network, it actually so much decreases the cost and the issues that are seen by device manufacturers and by network operators when your device is actually shipped and out there in the field. As we've talked about, this isn't just a few 100,000 devices. This is going to be millions of devices. So what you can't afford to do is have any problem in any device that's shipped out there, especially when you've got 1 million, 2 million, into the billions of devices. The cost of having to go out and either retrofit or even upgrade it will be very expensive. So the key is to get it right. So what I'm here, and a lot of this has already been talked a little bit before about, but I just wanted to really highlight from my side the significance of it from a new incentive point of view. So we've talked about TUV opening up a site. I've audited their site, I've approved their site, so they're ready to do LoRaWAN certification now here in India. The other thing that we've talked about as well is they will be looking at trying to work out, and we'll work with them, and they're in the process of going through certification. So not only can they test devices for the Indian region, but they will be able to test devices against the European region. So if you provide a device, and between India and Europe, the frequencies are very similar, it's very easy to create a device that will do both. So suddenly you can develop a device for India and now get it certified for both India and Europe, and you'll be able to ship that all over those places, and it can be effectively the same design with just a slight change in the protocol. So that's that, and obviously DECA are opening a site, so we're make sure that we have 2 separate cities, 2 separate areas, and as we've talked about before, the key thing is to use the technology and the knowledge that is local here to try and do that, and to reduce the cost of shipping your device elsewhere to get it certified. So we're trying to make it much easier and much more efficient for you to be able to get your device tested. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was what we've also made available now from the Alliance, and Donna touched on this briefly before, is this pre-certification tool. So with this now, every user, every member of the Alliance has the ability to effectively download this tool into their local office, their local environment, and actually do the run-through of the certification tests. It's a slightly different environment, so there's a little bit of tweaks, but about 95% of the tests we do in certification, you'll be able to do in your own office, in your own equipment. And in that case, you have the confidence that when you actually take your device for certification, it can go through. So this should enormously accelerate the time that it actually takes for you to actually go through there. And it's back to this same thing again. The other thing that the device can do, and if I just go into a bit more detail about how it works, you have this sort of central controller, which is downloaded to a local PC. That PC then runs both the test control layer and has its own mini version of a network server in it. It connects then locally to a gateway, and the gateway is the one that's tuned for whether it's working on Indian frequencies or US or whatever. And the LCTT supports all of the tested regions that we've actually got. And then you can actually connect your device, and we will pre-certify the device using only the LoRaWAN signals to it. So there's no other connection that's actually needed on the device. And with this tool, it offers a couple of different modes of operation. If you want to guarantee that your device will go through the certification program, you can just run through the complete certification program and do all of that as a pre-testing. And that typically takes a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, depending on the device that you've actually got. But more importantly, if you then say, I found a problem, I now want to just dive in and investigate one specific aspect of it, it also has what we've termed this debug mode. And that allows you to go in and run just individual parts of the test program or individual commands, send MAC commands down to the device and see how the device responds. So it gives you a really powerful tool, not just for going to certification, but actually testing it in the lab. And what I envisage and what we've seen people who've already used it are doing is they're running regression tests. So they're doing a build during the day and then they're leaving it overnight to run a regression test through it. So it's a very powerful way for you to actually prove that you're meeting the standard, which is so important for us to actually make sure that we can actually get this up and running and working and deployed nationwide. A couple of sort of major incentives, and I know we're running a little bit late, so I'm going a little bit faster through some of these slides, but I'm around today. If there's anything else you need to know, please come and grab me. What we've seen from Europe in particular, there is a lot of pre-certification or device qualification that an operator would do. And with that, they're testing against their own specific requirements. And this has been having problems, shall we say, for some of the device manufacturers. They go to operator A and test it, and they test against a subset. They go to operator B and test it against a different subset. And they may have got acceptance and qualification and gone into production with the first operator, and then they go to another operator who has a slightly different performance or a slightly different set of parameters, and now suddenly the device fails. But I'm already halfway through my production run, and I've got to stop my production run and try and fix it. So what we've worked with them is to make sure that incorporated into the LoRaWAN certification are all of the tests that they want to see done as part of that pre-qualification program that goes with them and allows them to have the confidence that if a device passes certification, it's done all of the necessary work. And that gives us that ability to make sure that it works on any network at any time, and more importantly, under any circumstance, because we've seen other devices that have problems when suddenly there's a glitch in the network or a rogue command is sent from the network, and that's caught the device out. Well, they're all part of what we're testing as part of that certification. So we can do much more than just the straight testing that you would do when you actually try and go for a trial with it. And that has another couple of sort of benefits, really. What we can do then is the LoRa Alliance, and there's just a picture on it now about the showcase, and for those who haven't seen it, please go on to the showcase, have a look at it. Every product, every service is in that showcase and in that catalog. And we have a separate area in there for all of the LoRaWAN products that are certified. And what we're doing with that is working with the operators to make sure that when they want to see what device has been qualified or is acceptable for their network, they can go into that showcase and they can put on extra filters and extra tests for it, for them to be given a list of all the devices that have been qualified and are acceptable for use on their network. And this gives us a very powerful tool for them to, instead of having all of their own separate product catalogs and device manufacturers having to work hard to get into operator A catalog and operator B, now that one catalog will be on the LoRa Alliance website. And the other thing we're doing with that to make it easier is when you go on there, there's a lot of additional information that you actually need before you can deploy a device. And these are things like how the application works, what some of the default parameters, even down to the marketing connection. So because we're promoting devices through this LoRaWAN Showcase, what will be on there is, and have the ability to download, is all of the relevant information about that device. So you as a device user or as a network operator can go to one place to actually pick it up and actually use it. So these are just some of the initiatives that we're working on within the Alliance to try and make sure that we can get as many devices out there as certified. It will guarantee our future and it will proof us. So my final sort of slide really is just a summary of this certification. So as it says, it's a robust certification program. We've now authorized the test houses, the 2 test houses in India. Also, if you have a device and you want to import a device from Europe, you can actually get it certified by DECRA, TUV, and IMST, so they actually do the certification for the Indian region anyway. But we're really trying to make sure that we do that conformance, interoperability, and the RF testing, and I haven't talked much about that, but the other side that we've seen is when you have a device, and if this was a typical device, what we've seen is it's been manufactured by someone, it's been done by a startup, and they don't necessarily have the equipment to do it. We're expecting it to have a certain power output, but when we actually measure it, it's significantly less than that. And that causes a major problem to the operators who've designed their network based on a certain output power or a certain range that you can get from your device. And if you haven't got the antenna design right, or you haven't got the interconnection and the matching right, you don't get the performance out of your device. So the other thing we're doing as part of the certification is actually measuring the RF performance of these devices and catalog it and recording it so that when you as an operator want to put it onto your network, you can see, yep, that's the performance I expect. And you can't say what's a good or a bad device because it depends on use case, but it's there and we're going to capture that information to allow it to do it. So the sort of takeaways are really the network operators don't have to do their own testing in that. And more importantly, from our whole purpose, it will ensure that device meets the expected quality and can run for the 10 years expected lifetime, et cetera, without problems or issues. So with that, thank you.